electric heated motorcycle gear. It's like a cheat code for the winter. It makes you look like you're tough, but you're not tough. You're riding around with literally a heating blanket on. It feels so good. But you gotta wire it to the bike and it's expensive, except that's all stupid because it's incredibly easy to wire it up. I'm gonna wire it to a bike that's not even my own, a demo bike, because it's just that easy to put on and take off. And despite, yes, being some money, my discount code does work on it though, but it can actually save you money if you understand how to set your gear up correctly. So we're gonna dig into that, as well as I'm gonna show you a detailed install, like I said, and then we're gonna go test it. And I'm gonna show you what's all up with this stuff. This gear, by the way, was sent to me by RevZilla, but I'm not being paid to say anything, and I asked for this gear, not them telling me, please make a video on it. I want y'all to know about this stuff. I feel like that's my job. I'm supposed to tell y'all about things that I think are worth knowing, and this I think is worth knowing. And you don't necessarily have to buy the whole kit either. We'll get into all that, and we'll talk more specifically about this. But first, how can this actually save you money, Jake? That's a crazy talk. You're an idiot. When you get into riding, or you already have, and you realize things are expensive. You saved up to buy a motorcycle and you think you're good to go, but then you find out you gotta get a license, go through the classes for that, insurance, registration, and finally, you gotta buy a bunch of motorcycle gear. What motorcycle gear do you get? There's different motorcycle gears for different temperatures, different seasons. You'll probably see this 4-season gear out there that will claim to do everything. Hopefully you didn't get tricked into that, because it just doesn't. It's compromised on every level. You start by buying summer gear because it's summertime, you bought your motorcycle. It's some good vented gear, something that really lets air flow. And as soon as it starts to cool off a little, that vented gear is way too much. So you get something warmer, then it gets even colder, and you're just freezing. And you're looking at gear and they're telling you gotta buy this big insulated stuff. It's gonna make you feel like a giant marshmallow and you're still kind of cold in it. I don't think it works that well. This is thousands and thousands of dollars of gear here. I don't think you need to do that. To demonstrate that, I'm gonna start by showing you what I wear in the summertime. Got some Reacts jeans here. These are really nice jeans because they don't have any of the marks on them. They just look like normal jeans. The liner's sewn into it. Honestly, I just wear these as normal jeans a lot of times. Helmet, this is a Sedici helmet, that doesn't matter as much. These nice Sedici gloves here, these are very well vented from hot days to into about the 50s. These work very well. Motorcycle shoes here from Reacts. Shirt style jacket. It's one of those jackets that kind of just looks like a casual shirt, but it is fully vented. This is really nice on the hot days. And as a bonus, when it's very, very hot out, a lot of times I'll wear some of this stuff. Shorts, shirt, and one of these little skull cap things. Just helps the airflow. You don't have to get that, it's a bonus there. Really helps push this stuff into the hottest of hot days. This will take me from the hottest days, I'd say somewhere in the 70s, I'd probably ditch this stuff. I like to wear the skull cap thing actually all the time. But once it hits the 60s out, this vintage jacket, in my opinion, starts to be a little bit too much. It's a little cool, especially when you're doing a bunch of highway speeds, you're gonna feel it. But to adjust it, I'm gonna leave all of this the same, and we're just gonna get one other thing here, a different jacket. This is from Street and Steel. It looks like a hoodie and it feels like one and it seems like one, except it's got armor in it and it's nice and it's actually still fairly vintage. So I've also worn this up into the 70s, no problem. But that right there, I'd say this is good into the mid 50s, maybe even to the low 50s. If you're tough, I'm a Texan, so you might have a different mindset than me. If it starts getting below that a little bit, we can enhance it. Some axial glove liners and axial block layers, a shirt and pants. And that will easily push me into the high 40s, just like this, and pretty comfortable. Although I will say in the upper 40s, if I'm doing a lot of highway riding, still might get a little chilly. What if I want to keep going and really push into the cold weather though? What if I'm just a crazy guy? Pull this, remove the gloves, just add heated gear to this. You don't even necessarily have to use the thermal block layer right here. RevZilla would probably suggest that you do that because this is going to enhance it, and they're right, but this stuff works so stupid good just on its own. By just bumping up a slightly higher setting, we can get away with just that. This is a set of pants and a jacket here, which basically look like windbreaker material. They're nothing fancy to look at. As well as the gloves, we're still wearing and using most of the stuff we've been using all year. Different jacket in this heated gear. You don't necessarily even have to get the pants. All last winter, I simply rocked the jacket and gloves and just use a block pant liner. That's a nice cheaper option if you don't want to dive all into this at once. I've used just the gloves and the jacket going down the highway at 70, 80 miles an hour, near freezing for over an hour at night, and was still very good. My legs were getting cold by the end of that, but not like, oh God, I'm gonna die. And of course, if you do combine it with this, well, I don't even know. I haven't yet to find the limit. As long as weather is permitting, there's not ice or water on the roads. I've ridden below freezing numerous times now and been very comfortable. Like, I'm literally like cozy comfortable. But before you go installing this, you should understand that it does require some electrical demands of your motorcycle, and these can cause some issues. This gear runs off of your motorcycle's electrical system, represented by a battery. You could draw the whole bike in a stator, but you get it. We're gonna tap off this 12-volt system and plug into it, and this is electric resistive heating, how this works. The heating that you'll hear is 100% efficient at converting electricity into heat, but it's also kind of an energy hog. That's just how it works. It's just the most convenient way to heat yourself using the power of your motorcycle. That's what it comes down to. But what we need to look at is what is the actual draw of all this gear. The jacket's 74 watts, the gloves are 22 watts, and the pants are 74 watts, which means you have a total of 170 watts. So do you have 170 watts you can spare? That's what you have to ask your motorcycle. Well, how do you find that out? Well, this is kind of tricky because at best you might be able to find out what your factory stator puts off. Even if you know what your stator makes, how much spare do you have? Bikes like a DRZ, for instance, only have about 175 watt stator, I want to say. So this gear, unless you only need 5 watts to run the motorcycle and headlights, then this is kind of pushing it. And also, it should be noted that that stator rating is at usually pretty high RPM, like 4 or 5 grand. It's not at like idle. So the way we're gonna find this out is a sort of caveman method. It does give us the right idea, which is that we're gonna look at the battery voltage with a multimeter, and we're gonna plug everything in and turn it to max, and we're gonna watch the voltage. Don't worry, multimeters are incredibly easy to use. I'll show you how to use one in the video, and you can pick one up for like 10 bucks or less. And before we install it, just as another safety note, something I did notice online is a lot of people talking about wiring this gear up to accessory ports on the bike. A lot of motorcycles these days, a lot of modern motorcycles will have some kind of accessory plug somewhere on the bike, and they're super convenient because they're fused, they work on switch power. Most of these are not meant for the high current that this heated gear is going to put out. I mean, here's the wiring harness that comes with, and it has a 15 amp fuse on there. A lot of bikes have no more than about a 7.5 amp or so. I think my Yamaha and my Honda over here only have like a 2.5 or something on the accessory plug. This is fine for like USBs or powering a GPS, but you're not gonna be able to power heated gear off of that. And sort of disturbingly, I saw a lot of people talking about just putting a fatter fuse in there so they could run their heated gear. Never, ever, ever do that on anything. Not a motorcycle, not your house, like, you know, breakers, fuses. They are there to protect the wiring, not the thing it's powering. When you put a bigger fuse in, you're now making the entire wiring harness the fuse, and those pop by catching fire. Don't do that. They give you everything you need right here with the kit. It has a fuse, it connects right to the battery, gives us plenty of cable for our connection, and this does not work with switch power. It will stay running when the bike is off, but also in my experience this is never a problem because when you get done riding, you get off, and it just, even if you forget to unplug it, it just unplugs itself. It's a simple connector there. It's not like a clip style. I would say just use what they gave you. So in order to install this, you're gonna have to get to your bike's battery, wherever that's located on your particular machine. This is a CF Moto 450 NK, and in the case of this bike, it's just right under the seat here. This is probably the most complicated part of the whole thing. Not very complicated. We need our Phillips screwdriver to disconnect the terminals here, and we're gonna connect red to red and black to black. Oh, look at that. The red one sits at a different angle. That's cute. We might have to bend that cable down just a little bit to get our cap back on. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tuck the cable up under the plastic here. I'm going to have it looping up through here. We can stuff the excess kind of over here to the side. And I have it zip tied right here. Here's the little bit that can pop out. Because what I figured out just a minute ago was that I do have enough room on this bike with the seat on that this cable can just sit here out like this. It means in the summertime when I don't want to run it, I just stuff it back over here, shut the seat, all is fine. I can't use this trunk for anything on this bike anyway. And then in the winter, I want to use it, I just pop it out here to the side. Look at that seat on. It's not pinching it. It's right there. Zip tied it though to the frame. So if you get off and you walk off the bike, it just simply pulls off. No big deal. And I've done that like 300 times. We've also made sure that we have enough slack with this all in here that if I want to, I can stand up. But at the same time, this isn't a big dangling thing of cables for the gloves. We don't have to run some long cable for those. In the sleeves, you can unzip and get this cable out. You can tuck it in when you don't use it. If you unzip it, you get this cable, and that plugs into these. There is one other thing, by the way. Down here in the pants, there's another zipper with a cable right here, and this will go to some heated soles for your shoes. Turn this gear on, you hold the buttons down to each one of these things for a second. Red's hot, then you go to yellow, medium, green, low, and you hold them for a couple seconds, you can turn them back off. So pretty simple, you end up with basically one cable to power all of this. But what I wanna show you right now is how we can test this to see if it's actually gonna have enough power, enough juice to actually be able to run all this stuff. This is a simple multimeter. I'll put a link to one of these in the description. The first thing we wanna do is we wanna set this thing in the DC range, DCV, and what we need to do is connect these to the battery. Black goes to black, red goes to red. Don't worry if you put them backwards, you'll just get negative voltage. So you just need to turn them around. And you can see here with the bike off, we're sitting at about 12.7 or so volts DC. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna start the bike up, plug the gear in, we're gonna put it on max, and then we're gonna watch the voltage at idle. 12.6. Let's fire up the bike. You can see the draws, the fuel pump runs there. All right, all the way up over 14. That's pretty good. That's what you should expect to see. I'm gonna start with just the gloves. We'll go to high on those. Let's see if we can see a draw on there. A couple hundredths, but for the most part, gloves aren't really affecting it. Let's add the heated jacket. All right, there we go. Now we're seeing a dip. You see that, huh? Down to 13.8, 13.9, but look, it's climbing back up. Regular rectifier is handling it just fine, it looks like. That's good, that's what you want to see. Now, let's add our heated pants to max. Oh, there we go, heated pants on max. And once again, I'm seeing a drawdown, but not that bad. I mean, we're still above 13.5 right there. Are we gonna stay? Yeah, we are. Wow, that's really good. You know what? I'm gonna throw the high beam on now. There's high beam. Hey, CF Moto's doing good. This is solid right here. A little RPM. Look at the heat coming off of this. Collar's completely lit up. Got heat zones in the back and the front. All that heat in there. Really getting down in there. It's in between the fingers really well. These nice big warm panels on the pants. It's even the table. The table's hot now from it. Absolutely awesome. Also big thanks to the people who make this thermal camera who sent me this like over a year ago. Apologize. I finally found a reason to use it. This thing is really cool. I've actually used it around my house numerous times with my hand up in this jacket. Oh my God, it's just toasty in there. We'll unplug it, we'll see it should jump back up. There it goes, yeah, it jumps up immediately. Well, good news. That means at least on this bike, this CF Moto 450 has plenty of preserve power. It easily was able to handle that. I'm not concerned with this bike being able to power that gear then. That's the simple way to check it though. If you're noticing by running everything like that, the voltage is just dropping and dropping, but if you give it some RPMs, it stabilizes or goes back up. You might still be able to get away with everything. You just have to keep in mind that, you know, if you're stopped at a light and you got everything on high or something like that, it may start to pull everything down. Honestly, my MT-07 with everything on high and the headlight on full blast, fog lights on, I actually have to be careful that it will draw it down. Now, to be fair, my MT-07 has Baja Designs LP9 Pro as its headlight with some little S1 lights for extra power. It's absurd. It's so bright. So, you know, I don't expect it to be able to handle that. But we are good to go then. So all that's really left to do is to jump on the bike and test this, which I've actually already done. Here's that footage. All right, I'm out here in the real world. Let's put this back on high here. I actually need to turn these pants down. These are... I'm turning the gloves down one notch. There we go. By the way, that's the way to do it when you have the, because you can reach over and do this one, but you don't want to, you know, chop off and hit sometimes because you get too much engine brake, so just pop it under your handlebar right there. Pretty late night. It's like 1:30 in the morning, and because I want to do it for real, man. I'm there 1:30 in the morning because I want to make sure y'all got an actual proper test of this stuff. I'm basically wearing that kit that I showed you. Hoodie on, the React jeans, some React shoes, a hot wired jacket liner, pant liner, and gloves. And, you know, just making the poor stuff run up, but definitely running it on a higher setting that I would normally have to run it on if I was running like any gear that was a little bit warmer in general, or if I had used those base layers, the warming base layers. If you combine them all together, you get a really warm setup. The thing of it is this stuff is strong enough that like it can kind of make up for it. I am wearing something to protect my neck right here. It's like a neck thing that kind of comes up your face and the back of your neck. I'll put a link to it. Look at these though, these are backlit. I never knew that until now. Backlit. All right, this isn't a CF Moto video. Reading 44 degrees out right now. When I left the house, it was actually like almost 10 degrees colder. I had to come out this, I wanted to be where there was lights and stuff so you could see me and I could roll 70 without having to worry about deer running out in front of me. But the funniest thing was this bike actually has a little snowflake that pops up when it was like below like about 35 out or whatever when I was first taking off. Oh, there goes 37. Still doing good. No problem. That's warmer over on this side of town. I feel fairly cozy. We get up to more speed and we'll get a little more wind going across this gear here, see how we feel. Let me tuck down a little bit. This is only a 450. There's 101. I feel good. I feel fine. 102, 101. Is that what this thing tops out at? I bet I get a little more. I think I saw 103 there for a second. chill out. We'll chill out there. I feel fine. I feel perfectly fine. That's that's the cool thing with this gear is it's got that windbreaker. Because this hoodie I'm wearing right now, I know the wind is pushing right through this. There is another piece of gear I do want to tell you that I am wearing under these gloves. The axial glove liners. It's not because I need to make these like work better or something. Oh, look at these. There's no lights. Watch, look at the high beams on this bike though. Pretty freaking good, CF Moto. The inner lining part of these gloves is not sewn in all like at the tips or anything. So when you go to pull your hand out, if it's just a minor bit clammy, which is going to happen when it's colder and you're getting heat and blah, 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 or just in general where you wear gloves, right? It's going to pull that liner back out. And unless you have a tool or something with you to push it back up in, you're never going to get with your fingers. You're never going to be able to push your hand back into that glove until both the liner and your hand are 110% fucking dry. And I was reading the reviews on these gloves. I was like, people are like, that's the thing they say about them. Like it's not just me. Like everyone's like, they need to fix this. But if you wear the little axial glove liners and they don't really add enough girth, that it makes it, they're gonna make it a little more snug. In my case, that just worked out because these gloves weren't slightly a little big for me, so that kind of worked for my favor. But yeah, by wearing those, I can take these gloves on and off and not have it do that obnoxious thing. Something I could fix, and honestly for a glove that costs, these gloves that cost nearly $200, it's kind of annoying. As far as being comfortable and nice to wear and warm, they do that fine. In fact, to the point that I need to turn them down now. The old mega church over here. This is the Gemstones over here, church. No, has anybody seen that show? It's very silly. Very pretty. So yeah, so I need to turn the pants down now. That is one thing too, by the way, since I'm stopped here, you'll start to heat up pretty quick. Something I've always thought about this gear, since you're plugging in, I think it'd be really easy to make a harness where you actually had a controller up here. I know they have some that do that, but they do it the dumbest way. They're like, oh, it's a Bluetooth remote controller. Why not just run a data and power cable on it to the control unit, and then I have a dial up here? It's like you guys are almost there, but you're doing it like a dumb way. I really don't want a Bluetooth remote that I got to keep charged on my handlebars, and it's going to be out here in the cold with the... That just seems like a bad idea to me. I need to get a pin lock for this helmet, although I just cleaned the visor really, really good, and I find that that's usually the big help right there. If you just get the visor like super clean, a lot less likely to fog. The ultimate, I believe, though, is still to get a pin lock and then get LASIK so I don't have to have glasses underneath here. I like how everyone's doing ads now for Flying Eyes, and I did an ad for them years and years ago and never got a fucking dime for it. I'm wearing Flying Eyes glasses right now. I don't know what happened to the part where it was like, hey, you guys are gonna like pay me, right? Just ghosted me. Yeah, no nativity scene that I can see. You probably can't put them out anymore. People will steal the baby. I'm sick of looking at this gauge. Let's switch the gauge real quick. Just because we can. Just because we can, because it's fun. What do you think these cars are thinking right now? They're thinking, look at this fucking idiot. If you've ever been really bundled up in riding, or you're cold, or a combination of two, I get real stiff personally. I feel like I can't ride like I want to. I feel fine like this though with this heated gear. If you've been on the fence about buying this stuff, hopefully this gives you some ideas, or if you had never even thought about it, hopefully this gives you some ideas. And maybe some of you are watching this go, you know, Jake, I just don't want to ride when it's cold. And I hear you too. I am completely comfortable, but I hear you. Also, keep in mind, I'm from Texas, and what I think is cold and what you think is cold may be different. Without heated gear, I don't do this. But I hope you found this in some way helpful. If you did, I hope you would leave a like on it, do the old comment thing, make the algorithm happy. 90% of y'all these days are not subscribed. I never push that anymore, but it does help the system. Join my Patreon for just $1 a month, and that will give you early access to all these videos. And you can link your Discord and chat with me in there. We have a good Discord group. And there it is. It's already dropped to 41. It is definitely cooler as soon as you get over here. I'm still fine. I just hits me. I'm like, wow, it is noticeably cooler over here. Otherwise, yeah, I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for watching.